Hello, this is the Bible History School. This is the third session on the Book of Revelation and world history. From this session onward, we aim to take the first step towards approaching various themes that appear in the text of Revelation. In order to complete the overall picture, we will consider what the symbolic expressions, like the beast, in the text, refer to in actual history, and how we should approach finding their meanings. Chapter 1. The identity of the beast with 7 heads. Verse 1. The symbolic terms of Revelation, and their historical realities. The key to solving the issues of Revelation is to find any nation that corresponds to the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns that exists on earth. The nations referred to as beasts in the book of Daniel represent empires that have swallowed up various countries to establish a great nation. The process of a powerful nation occupying weaker ones to form a larger empire is likened to a strong beast devouring weak animals, and in the text of the prophecy, these empires are described as beasts. We need to identify the nation corresponding to this beast at the center of the prophecies recorded in the book of Revelation, to understand the reality of the nations being invaded, and the persecution of God's people or the church by that nation. If the nation we are looking for has not yet appeared in the history of the earth, it would be a matter for the distant future, making it difficult for us living in the present to grasp its reality. However, if this nation already exists, or is among those that occurred at some point in the past, we must examine past world history to locate that nation. After carefully examining how the prophecies recorded in the biblical text have been fulfilled, understanding the meaning of those fulfilled prophecies can be considered the duty of Christians, especially when reading the prophetic books of the Bible, to understand the reality of history described in the book of Revelation. We must look at approximately 2,000 years of history, from the time it was written to the present. Events that occurred prior to that are not directly related to the fulfillment of the book of Revelation. However, since the terms expressed in the book of Revelation are similar to those recorded in the book of Daniel, knowing the historical context corresponding to the text of Daniel may serve as a shortcut to understanding the book of Revelation. The nations recorded in the book of Daniel and the prophetic books of the Old Testament are all empires that invaded Israel. The empires that occupied Israel include the Assyrian Empire, which destroyed northern Israel, the Babylonian Empire, which destroyed southern Judah, as well as the Persian Empire, the Hellenistic Empire of Alexander the Great, and finally the Roman Empire. Among them, the most frequently mentioned name is Babylon, and the book of Revelation also refers to the capital of that beastly nation as Great City Babylon, Revelation chapter 18, 2. Babylon, which shares the same name as the country, is the capital of the ancient Babylonian Empire, and the modern nation that stands on that land is Iraq. The prophetic books state that the day Babylon invades Israel is referred to as God's Day of Judgment, leading many scholars interpreting eschatology to believe that, if Iraq invades or bombards Israel, that event will mark the beginning of the final war in the end times. However, the Bible describes the invading nation, in the context of prophetic interpretation, as a beast. Babylon is merely a symbolic title for the beastly nation that will become the central country, which will be the fulfillment of prophecy at some point in the future. Therefore, finding any country that exactly matches what is described in the text will be the first task in interpreting the prophetic writings. The writings I am producing here are not intended to explain the methodology of interpreting the book of Revelation. In the process of finding that beastly nation, rather than discussing methods of interpreting prophetic writings, I am using a method that seeks to identify the actual country that is thought to be that among many past histories, and directly applying it to the text. Then, by applying the interpretations corresponding to the remaining descriptions, recorded in the text one by one, I aim to compare and analyze whether the country identified here corresponds to the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. This text should not be read quickly. I believe that it is advisable to read it carefully, comparing the text with actual history, examining each part step by step. First, let's read the description of the beast with 7 heads in the text. If we read Revelation chapter 13:1, it says, "I saw a beast rising out of the sea, with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and blasphemous names on its heads." In verse 2, the beast that I saw was like a leopard, its feet were like a bear's. His mouth was like that of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. Verse 3, one of his heads seemed to have been mortally wounded, but the mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled and followed the beast. Verse 4, the dragon gave the beast his authority, and they worshipped the dragon, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who can fight against it? Who is able to make war with him?" Verse 5, the beast was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to act for 42 months. Verse 6, the beast opened its mouth to blaspheme God, and to blaspheme his name and his dwelling. That is, those who dwell in heaven. Verse 7, it was also granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and authority was given to him over every tribe, people, language, and nation. Verse 8, all who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. This is from Revelation chapter 13:1-8. Among the terms that appear in this passage, the most essential word is the expression, beast. This beast is the beast that rises up out of the sea. This beast is different from the beast that rises up out of the earth, Revelation 13:11-18, which has 2 horns like a lamb. The beast with the number of the name, 666. That is most contentious in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. Is the beast with 2 horns rising from the earth, not the beast with 7 heads rising from the sea. The 2 beasts are separate nations. However, it is a fact that the 2 countries have a close relationship. It is clear that the 2 countries corresponding to the 2 beasts play the most central role in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. First, let us examine the identity of the beast that rises from the sea. The character and appearance of this beast are explained again in Revelation chapter 17. Let's take a look at the words of Revelation chapter 17. Verse 1, then one of the 7 angels, who had the 7 bowls, came and spoke to me, saying, "Come here. I will show you the judgment that the great harlot, sitting on many waters, is about to receive." Verse 2, the kings of the earth committed fornication with her, and those who dwell on the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And in verse 3, the Spirit carried me away into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast. The beast's body is full of blasphemous names, and it has 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold, precious stones, and pearls, holding a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things and the filth of her fornication. On her forehead was written a name, a mystery: Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. And I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the saints and the blood of the witnesses of Jesus. When I saw her, I marveled greatly. The angel said to me, "Why do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast, with 7 heads and 10 horns, that carries her. The beast that you saw was, and is not, and is about to rise from the abyss and go to destruction. Those who dwell on the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life since the foundation of the world." will marvel when they see the beast that was, and is not, and yet is to come. Verse 9. Here is the mind, which has wisdom, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Verse 10. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. Verse 11. The beast that was, and is not, is himself also. The 8th king, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. Verse 12. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, who have received no kingdom as yet. However, for a time, they will receive authority like kings alongside the beast. Verse 13. They were of one mind and gave their power and authority to the beast. Verse 14. They will wage war against the Lamb. But the Lamb is the Lord of lords and King of kings. He will overcome them, and those with him, called and chosen, will also overcome. Verse 15. And the angel said to me, the waters you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. Verse 16. The 10 horns you saw and the beast will hate the harlot. Make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Verse 17. This is so that God may give them a heart to fulfill his purpose, and give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled. Verse 18. And the woman you saw is the great city that rules over the kings of the earth. This is the word from Revelation chapter 17, verses 1 to 18. Although the book of Revelation is written in symbolic terms, it actually explains its meaning within the text. This is in the form of one of the 7 angels, who have the 7 bowls, explaining the mystery to John. In verse 9 of chapter 17, it teaches that the 7 heads are 7 kings. In other words, you just need to find any country that was ruled by one of the 7. Any kings or power holders before it fell. However, in verse 10, it says, 5 have already fallen, 1 is currently here, and the other has not yet appeared. The present tense in this sentence indicates that the 6th king is currently ruling. Therefore, at least in terms of the text, since the book of Revelation was written during the Roman Empire, it seems to set the present tense of the text during the reign of the 6th emperor of the Roman Empire. Let's take a look at the names and reign periods of the emperors of the Roman Empire. The first emperor, Augustus, reigned from 27 BC to AD 14. Tiberius, from AD 14 to 37. Caligula, from 37 to 41. Claudius, from 41 to 54. Nero, from 54 to 68. Galba, from 68 to 69. Otho, in 69. Vitellius, in 69. Vespasian, from 69 to 79. Titus, from 79 to 81. Domitian, from 81 to 96. Here, we will examine the period from the first Emperor Augustus to Emperor Domitian. The phrase, 5 have fallen, indicates that the reign of the 5th emperor, Nero, has already passed. The 6th emperor is Galba. In fact, Galba, Otho, and Vitellius all claimed the title of emperor during the chaotic period following Nero's death, but since they did not hold stable imperial authority, they are sometimes excluded from the list of emperors. One reason for this is that it is assumed that the time when John, who recorded the book of Revelation, was exiled to the island of Patmos corresponds to the reign of Emperor Domitian. This is because Emperor Domitian persecuted Christians, and some interpret this Domitian as the 8th king mentioned in Revelation chapter 17:11. Then the 6th king would be Vespasian. This Vespasian was a general dispatched to suppress the First Jewish Revolt, reigning from 66 to 70 AD. And during a time of turmoil in the empire, he returned to Rome after assigning the task of capturing Jerusalem to his son Titus and became emperor. The important thing is that when interpreting the Old Testament prophecies, God used Babylon as a rod to punish Jerusalem. And then, as a punishment for his people, God would destroy Babylon. Here, if we see the Roman Empire that destroyed Jerusalem as Babylon. It is believed that shortly after the fall of Jerusalem, the Roman Empire would also fall, fulfilling the prophecies recorded in the Bible. Therefore, both Vespasian, who was responsible for the fall of Jerusalem, and his son Titus, became emperors of the Roman Empire. And this period can be considered a precursor to the fall of the Roman Empire. However, the Roman Empire did not fall at that time. If it is said that the eighth king will destroy Jerusalem, it could refer to Vespasian, who was the emperor at the time of Jerusalem's fall in 70 AD. However, the text states that the empire will fall during the time of the eighth king. Yet, since the Roman Empire did not fall after that, this beast is not the Roman Empire. After that, the Roman Empire became a Christian nation. The Byzantine Empire, which was the Eastern Roman Empire, after the split between East and West, was also a Christian nation, since the time it separated from the Western Roman Empire. And its history continued for 1,000 years. Therefore, there are no similarities to the beast described in the book of Revelation. If the book of Revelation describes events that will inevitably occur in history, we must look for a history that matches the depiction in the text elsewhere. Since the book of Revelation was written, it has been a constant source of controversy in the church, due to interpretation issues and many groups that have been declared heretical. In the Korean church, are mostly denominations that interpret the book of Revelation. There are many commentaries and interpretations of the book of Revelation, but there are not many practical examples that can be shown as its fulfillment in world history. However, the figure with the number 666 has been defined as the Antichrist, who terrifies the world and persecutes God's people, with various interpretations about who he might be. Many examples have been presented, from the most frequently mentioned, Emperor Nero, to Hitler of Germany, who instigated World War II, but the identity of the beast with 7 heads has not been discovered. Thus, some interpretations have presented the book of Revelation not as a history of the future, but merely as a document reflecting the reality faced by Christians at the time it was written. In this book, we aim to identify the countries corresponding to the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, and the beast with 2 horns, like a lamb, throughout the history of the past 2,000 years. In the Bible History School, starting from the next session, we will examine Gog and Magog, as well as the Soviet Union, in order to approach the reality of the beast with 7 heads. We appreciate your continued interest and subscriptions. Thank you.